Hello and welcome everybody to EO Atlanta Taking Flight. And this series of introducing and bringing smart minds to the table from EO Atlanta, our entrepreneurs, has been such a delight. And today is going to be no different. I have someone exceptional who I've got to know briefly over the last kind of couple of months, and I'm looking forward to really hearing her story today, if I'm honest. So today's guest leads Seven Oaks Academy's Montessori, and she's transforming a multi-year Best of Gwinnett award-winning school. This is what she's transforming into. I think it's already a multi-year Best of Gwinnett award-winning school, which is amazing. She is a mission-driven leader and an entrepreneur with 25 years of experience in equity, education, and community impact. She is also the founder and CEO of the Nonprofit Guru. Can't wait to know what that's about. Helping nonprofits grow through fundraising, board development, and strategy. And so today's guest, I really am excited to welcome, is Erica Gwyn. Welcome, Erica.
Hi, how are you?
I'm really good. It's a Friday. I think everyone's always happy on a Friday. Don't you agree?
Yes, most days people are happy. Most Fridays I get good
Yeah.
energy from people.
Unless you meet someone who says, well, actually, my weekend is Monday and Tuesday. You're like, oh, well, that's a little bit different.
Yes.
People in the hospitality world, it's like, I was always told, actually, when I was younger, that there's one industry, if you ever want to avoid working on all the holidays, is don't go into hospitality. And I think that's
Oh, wow.
true. And I always feel so sorry for them because it's like they work on all the days that we're taking off.
Yes, I've heard that.
Yes. So, and I know you're not in hospitality, but you are in a very tough industry of education. I really can't wait to get started. So, Erica, let's get going. What did you get right when you took your first flight into your entrepreneurial journey?
Oh my gosh. I will say the one thing I got right is that I knew that I should not be alone. I found a tribe immediately. I believe in masterminds. I believe in the power of best and next practices and not being
Mhm.
stuck in your own head. So to me, that was something that I just have always done. And that was my best first move as an entrepreneur, is finding my tribe through a mastermind.
So tell me a little bit more about that. How did you find your tribe?
Yeah. I was in a childcare mastermind series for business owners that in the childcare industry. And I found it like most, the algorithm. I was looking for just a conference. That conference turned into me purchasing a book. I read the book in like record time, and it was a call to action. I was their ideal avatar client, and I
It was
bit the
so
bait.
easy.
Yeah,
That's
and
amazing.
it was pretty. Yeah, it was very nice. Taught me a lot of the fundamentals to systemize what I knew individually, but it helped me package those concepts together.
Okay. So it sounds like obviously you decided on the industry you're going into, but you knew you needed guidance, expertise, some other people in the same path as you. But you're not referring to the fact that they became partners. They just became this, like you say, this guide, these mentors around you. Is that right?
That's correct. Specifically in the marketing arena for childcare, it was a mastermind around that, but it turned into so much more because it helped me realize that I didn't have systems, or to be more clear, I acquired a business that did not have systems, and I
Okay.
was able to convert that into a long journey.
Yes. Oh my gosh. Okay. I'm looking forward to digging into the business a bit later. That sounds amazing. But you're right. Like, I mean, it sometimes, and I think it sounds like you did it this right early on. I don't know if I did it as right early on, but realizing quite quickly that you needed to be around other peers who could help you and guide you, which I think is really, really smart. Are you still part of that organization?
I am not. I outgrew it, but I found a new mastermind, a new community through EO.
Hmm.
That happened right after. So I acquired my business in 2019. And in 2020, I was in the accelerator program in EO because I I learned quickly, I moved fast, and some of the concepts in the childcare mastermind were becoming redundant. And
Right.
I knew I needed to go from entry level to mid and high.
Yeah.
and crush some goals. So yeah, I found the template though of a mastermind to be consistent.
Yeah, you definitely have. I love that. And I love the fact you've also recognizing when you've, and there's nothing wrong with outgrowing. I think that the organization would want you to outgrow it because
Yeah.
that means that you've been listening and learning and now you're ready for what's next. So I think that's amazing.
Yeah.
So have you had any co-pilots? Like, have there been people on this journey with you, Erica, who kind of have just been very pivotal in the journey and in the success?
I will say yes and no. I bought a school that was under one model. I converted it to another, which required a transition of my leadership team.
Right.
I went from your general education to a very specific niche of Montessori. So I knew I needed to surround myself by a community of Montessorians that were trained in the pedagogy, who were willing to mentor me, but more so as well, I have to give credit to my husband for being
Mhm.
a silent behind the scenes like partner. He's definitely that sounding board, even after a mastermind that you just want to reassure yourself.
Yeah.
My husband works in a tech company, so I always look at the innovation of technology industries, and his particular the one he works for. And he's been just a great person to keep me going when I have had ups and downs in business.
Yeah. Yeah, and I love the fact that you've, shouted out here, the spouse, because they are the quiet partner, aren't they? Yet they're the ones who hear it all, pick you up, and, are there when you succeed too.
Yes.
So it's great with and also with him being in tech and innovation. Has that been an area you've really tried to focus on at the Montessori?
Yes, I have. Montessori is a curriculum that the pedagogy is the same now as it was in 1907,
Right.
and it works. So there's no need to change it.
Yeah.
But what I love is that Dr. Montessori herself was an innovator. So I always tell my team that if she was here today, she would have Snapchat, she would use AI, she would be,
Mhm.
exploring all of these concepts that are fast forward in our face with AI even now. So I do introduce it, but I've realized that I just have to have the right people in the right seat who understand the innovation side. And then there's the team that preserves the integrity of what Dr. Montessori put. And then we all collaborate for a bigger vision.
Okay. So you gotta tell me, pedagogy, who
Yes.
is that? What is that? That the
Yeah.
founder of Montessori? Okay.
Uh, it's the type of curriculum that we are choosing to use at our school. So in our
Okay.
school, it's the Montessori pedagogy. It may be a Christian curriculum in another traditional daycare. It could be,
Okay.
yes, just those what it is, the discipline of the academia that we are choosing over here.
Okay. I did not realize that I knew there's Montessori. I did not realize there's different kind of versions of Montessori, it sounds like.
It can be. Montessori was her last name. It wasn't branded. And
Okay.
so anyone can open a school tomorrow and say it's Montessori.
Okay.
And so I've learned to make sure that I have certain areas that it stands out as far as aligning with councils that certify and credential teachers to make
Yeah.
sure that our school is aligned with um, that academic rigor.
Yeah. That makes sense. That sounds great. So, tell me a little bit about, maybe there's something particular you've been working on, Erica, like, has there been, when I say has there been a challenge, I think there's a challenge probably every day. But has there been a specific challenge that you can share with us? Like, what did that challenge look like? Why was it important? Like, how have you gone ahead and solved that challenge? 'Cause we'd love to kind of learn from you on the pathway you've been taken.
Yeah, thank you. It's a great question. I would say one that I constantly think about is a lot of what happens at the federal level trickles down to impact us at the education boots on the ground.
Yeah.
So instead of playing defense, I've really looked at how can I be an ally to these adjustments. My background in grants management, fundraising, grant writing helps a lot with that pivot.
Okay.
But currently, we're looking at the big, beautiful bill
Yeah.
and finding the tax incentives for our families that are a higher net worth that want to invest in a private school education
Mhm.
and also have a silver lining of a tax incentive break to align our marketing with that. And it's difficult because I historically, our school has been serving a low income community,
Okay.
and we pivoted and changed our avatar of our ideal client so that we can continue to grow and
Yeah.
offer scholarships to students on a need basis versus that being our primary funnel.
Okay. So how did you do that? I mean, so has that happened? Do you feel like your avatar is in place and a lot of new families that represent the avatar coming through? Or I'm assuming that's a work in progress, is it?
It it is a work in progress, but it was solidified through my EO journey as an accelerator.
Hmm.
At one point, I used to price the market based on what my neighbors up the street, other daycares were doing. And I quickly, through EO, realized that my overhead is not the same as their overhead, and I can't charge a flat rate that's equivalent because they don't know what I have as expenses.
Yeah.
So, yeah,
Okay.
and also I'm offering a premium service, so I've just learned to own it and accept it and create a boutique experience so that our families get a higher quality output for the type of child and learner they want to invest in so that that student from cradle to college has a start and a
Hmm.
pipeline.
Hmm. That's amazing. So, like, I mean, I think for any business, and if I kind of put it into another business altogether, not childcare education, any business which says, you know what, this customer we've been going after is not the right customer anymore, and we have to go change the customer we go after, and obviously what we're going to provide to them to reflect their needs. Right? That's a massive pivot.
It
And
is.
that can be pretty. Yeah, that can come with a lot of problems to overcome. So, first of all, I wanted to say well done to you because that doesn't sound like it's not something you just do overnight. It takes discipline.
Yes. Accredit now I have to shout out my college. Um, I majored in public health undergrad at UGA. So I understood program design, program evaluation, but a lot of it is also public service announcements, a lot of PSA. You got to educate the community. You have to have forum opportunities for them to give feedback. So I did focal groups to get buy-in. I also realized how I had to have the right people in the right seat
Hmm.
for my employees, my team, so that vision could come to life. So it definitely has been a slow journey because you're talking about real human experiences. These are children,
Yeah,
all of the most trusted and valuable possession we all have,
yeah,
and you can't move so fast that it shocks folks. But I feel that I've successfully done it because I utilize a lot of my public health
okay,
expertise to move the needle.
yeah. I love that. Well, it's not often actually you hear people go back to their degree because I think many of us either didn't take the degree they took is not what we're doing now, um, or maybe it wasn't as pivotal, as it can be in your business. It sounds like your degree was very pivotal. So again, that's just great that you're able to go back and lean on that. And shout out to UGA. I have a daughter there, so there we go.
Yes, game day tomorrow. A
Yeah,
separate podcast.
it is game day tomorrow. The problem is in my family, we're also UF. We're UF and UGA, so it's game day for UGA, yay, and then game day for UF because nothing's going very well. But that is another system, but I love it.
It's a fun house divided moment.
It is. It's a constant house divided moment. So okay, that sounds so. I mean, you refer back to UGA um, and what you learned there, which I think is wonderful. What about books? It's funny because I even had wanted to ask you like, what else has kind of given you that intel that you've needed? And I just want to share this one because I feel like this is just quite remarkable. We did have someone on the podcast about a year ago, and I loved it because she gave an answer which blew me away. Um, which is why I shouldn't just say what book do you get excited on. I should say what movie or what Broadway show because she told me that Les Miserables had been a guiding influence to the success of her company.
Wow.
I know, and I was just like, "I'd never considered." Like, it sounds so, short-sighted to not consider other mediums. Why does it have to be a book? So my question is, has there been a book, a movie, or a Broadway show, Erica, that you think like, "You know what? That's been really helpful to me."
Well, I'm definitely a book girl. I don't watch much TV.
Okay.
And I love Broadway, but I don't go to the arts as much as I would like in a
Mhm.
while. But I will tell you that um 10x is greater or
Yeah.
easier than 2x. That's been a great one for me. The whole series, Who Not How.
Yeah.
Uh, but I will tell you if I had to go a little deeper, a book called Worthy by Jamie Kern Lima.
Okay.
That book was really phenomenal for me because I will tell your audience that I was a foster child. I was in a foster home from kindergarten to 3rd grade.
Oh,
So I really struggled with the internal battle of worthiness because you feel lost. You don't know, like,
yeah.
where you're seeking for love as an early child. And that was something I've battled for years. But that book, Worthy, it really told me that I am certainly worthy of any lifestyle that I've either manifested or I have a vision for
Mhm.
because I believe in faith. Faith drives a lot of what I do. So as a child of God, to me, that has been a resonating moment for me, that book.
Mhm. Mhm. Okay. I need to check that book out. Worthy. I love the title,
Yes.
for sure.
Um,
But you're right. I can't imagine what that must have been like, in a foster care and probably, yeah, not feeling worthy and not understanding where you come from. And so it's again your journey. I mean, just very I'm not gonna say proud of you because I'm not even part of your journey. Um, but it's admirable to hear someone who's, started out with difficulties and is now running her own destiny. And I love that. And I think that is what EO is all about. It's funny, I've been doing a lot of competitive research into other um, entrepreneur groups in the area of Atlanta. And there's a lot of them. And so and I didn't realize it seems like EO is much more for those. A lot of us have had to start from nothing. And so that whole grit, that whole tenacity, it's not like we got when, and we're the CEO of a company,
yeah.
because we got that role. We actually built it. You acquired something and you built it. And
Yep.
again, those are some of the traits that I'm seeing in EO, which really do stand apart from many other. So you're in the right place, Erica, put it that way. Um,
Awesome.
in the right organization. So what excites you about the future? Like what's your future of flight look like?
Oh my goodness. We are taking flight through acquisition. I started my journey in merger and acquisition before I even knew what it was called.
Okay.
And after getting um, everything the way that I see this school should be, I want that to be that rinse and repeat and growing through mergers and acquisitions. There's such a shift. Entrepreneurs can relate. Most of our children do not want to acquire what we've built. And I'm seeing a shift right now with baby boomers who are retiring,
Mhm,
and I have a lot of energy, and I'm excited to continue to grow.
mhm.
Particularly, a lot of folks focus on the metro Atlanta area, but I'm really intrigued by rural Georgia because of my grant writing background, being able to write grants to bring in additional resources that can offset but still give a high quality experience to families and tailoring it to unique communities versus it being the same in each one. You have to look at the
Yeah.
demographics of that community to give them what's best. So, growth through acquisition with a
Yep.
focus on rural Georgia.
Okay. So rural Georgia, what is that? I mean, I'm in Milton. I know that's not rural Georgia, but if I go a bit further north, I start hitting it. Can you give me some idea of what you mean by rural Georgia?
Yes, well, that is a good point. I definitely think Macon down south towards Savannah, Georgia, or even towards
Mhm.
the coastal line near Albany.
Okay.
But my initial nucleus is looking at right outside of Macon, Georgia. My mom and family are from the hometown of Herschel Walker called Wrightsville, Georgia.
Okay.
It's a little small town outside of another small town. And so when you get that granular, I start to see that education may be different in definition. It's the basics may just be childcare in the supply chain. I need to drop off my child so I can go to work.
Yeah.
And my area now is focusing on bringing either Montessori or a higher quality process to an existing traditional model.
Yeah. Now, does that get difficult when you consider you changed your avatar, as you mentioned,
Mhm.
went for more higher net worth families, but then you also put grants in place, maybe for people who couldn't afford it. What happens then when you move into like a very rural area? Does the same, is it the pedagogy?
Yeah.
Yeah. Is it still pedagogy? Is it still that same avatar? And then how do you do that? Because is that avatar there?
That is what is the challenge. I think I love a challenge, but I would say not every area needs Montessori. Montessori is more so a mindset. We
Right.
call it in at home, it will be gentle parenting, right?
Right.
So it's really the parent education element of it. It is the area where you do see education is valued. For example, Jasper County may be a smaller area with one main high school, one middle school, but I look at what is the pathway for their career readiness for their high schoolers, and if I interweave that into what we're doing at the early learning stage, so that their high schoolers can come and work with our younger students
Mhm.
and you build a bridge. And yes, the economic base from the cost per student acquisition is the same high value, and the family would just pay a prorated amount and we subsidize it with a grant so that the grant absorbs the majority of the fees.
Wow. That sounds amazing. No, but that's such a smart model. You're providing high quality education, a more premium learning to places where they may struggle to get that level of premium learning, and then you're doing it through grants.
Yeah.
Clever. I love it. And very necessary. I mean, why should people in rural areas suffer and not get the learning that they need and not be not get that premium learning? It doesn't make sense.
Education is the common equalizer. On this transition, even here in Gwinnett County, I heard a calling from the then superintendent that 52% of kids were not ready for kindergarten. And I was like, well, wait a minute. I've heard third grade data with a prison pipeline. I've heard eighth grade, but in high school dropout, but I had never heard children were not ready for kindergarten. And it lit a fire in me.
Did you
That
say
that
did you say prison pipeline?
Yes,
Oh my
if
god.
if a child is not reading on grade level by 3rd grade, the prediction is you can base how many prisons need to be built nearby because that child more than likely will be in a prison if they're not reading on grade level by 3rd grade. So that's a direct pipeline to your prison.
Uh,
It's
Wow.
sad data, but it's real data.
Yeah. Well, it's interesting because I know on Monday this week there was I think it was the second year of it's a I can't think what the name of it is. I need to go check it, but it's all about motivating and incentivizing children to read because as the number of illiterate people in Georgia, I think the number was I shouldn't quote it because I don't want to get it wrong. I need to go fact check it in a minute. But it was way higher. It was like something like 43% of people, not just children, were illiterate. And I'll get the facts in a minute, so I'm not kind of saying the wrong thing. But I was like, oh my god! I thought initially they were just talking about trying to motivate children to read, like read, which I think is important.
Mhm.
But these aren't even just children; these are grown adults who've not had that exposure. So
Yes,
yeah, yeah. So I love the fact that you are part of the solution to help fix that future generation, which sounds extremely important and very purpose driven. Um,
yes.
okay, so thank you for sharing that. So I'd love to learn, Erica. This is a bit I get excited about. So tell me about you, like pre-flight, before you went and acquired a Montessori school. What did life look like for you? What were you doing?
Oh my gosh, I have always worked with students. In college, I chartered the NAACP, which was my first stint in just working with volunteers and motivating, myself to finish projects and tasks. But that servant leadership that started in college, and I went into as a boots on the ground educator, working in middle schools, teaching health education. later evolved into realizing I want to make a little more money. So I became an after school director running an after school program for a national nonprofit. And let me qualify and say this is where I got the expertise to create the nonprofit Guru. I
Okay.
work in kind donations for Habitat for Humanity. I have done everything from the register to the French fries in nonprofit space. But I eventually found my niche working in grants management, and I've managed some federal $1 million grants for colleges and universities and other nonprofit organizations.
Right. Amazing. But where do you think all that stemmed from? Like how did you know that was your calling to do these things?
I didn't know, I did not. I knew I had a lot of childhood trauma that I needed to figure out who I was. And when you're
Yeah.
young, and I don't know, God gave me a gift of just serving. And I did it to perhaps mask and hide my own trauma.
Mhm.
But in doing that, I also realized that I actually had a natural skill set in it. So I've always just given back to others and trying to figure out my own life. And then also on the other side of it, I was able to get myself out of situations that most with that type of start that I had could not do.
Right.
And so after having that epiphany, it just became something that I gravitated towards. I wanted to be a pediatrician, honestly. And organic chemistry changed my major.
Right. Yeah. What
But
happened?
yeah, but the need, the goal of always working with students or kids, that was always there. So I have found so much pleasure and joy in just seeing the hope and the creativity and the innovation that children bring every day. And I'm a big kid. Even now, I'll go on the playground with my students and ride the slide with them, or I'm blowing bubbles, and it's
That's
it's just yes, you don't lose it. If you're
yeah. Well, in many ways, you're in a very advantaged situation because as we all get older, I think I see my mother who doesn't have much exposure to, she lives in England, doesn't have much exposure to younger people, and you age quicker. You age so much quicker when you're not around younger people. Whereas Erica, you're living around younger people, and you're working around younger people, and
yes.
that playtime is happening. And I think it's so valuable.
And how
Um,
can I add even the high schoolers? I do not believe in ageism. I learn so much every day from these high school students that are interning with us, whether it's, obviously TikTok is not my thing, but they'll teach me that. But they also teach me a lot of things about character development, and it
mm,
gives me hope to the future that, what you may see on social media is not the same as what these kids are really able to bring to the forefront. They're great leaders.
yeah.
They think ahead of, they can see a snapshot in the future way past where we are in the moment. So yes, all of those things plays a part in I feel like keeping myself youthful outside of my joints and my body.
Keeping your brain youthful, yeah, and physically, which is great. Thank you to our strategic alliance partners for their support to our EO Atlanta community. Check these partners out as they can help you soar further into your entrepreneurial journey. Thank you to Chase, Belay, Trainial, EOS and Sperity, American Express, CEO Coaching International, Ashford Advisors, Clifton Larson Allen, and Homwick Burke. So tell me, I know we've touched on it a little bit, because in my experience of Montessori, I'll be honest with you, I didn't really get it. So what I mean by that is we lived in England, and I remember being told great things about Montessori school, and I went to visit it, and I struggled to grasp. I struggled to grasp it,
Mhm.
because it felt very different,
Yes.
to how I was raised, and not to say I was raised, in the ideal way, but, and so, yeah, it felt, if I'm gonna be honest, too loose for me.
Mhm.
So I want you to kind of, but I know I've had so many great things about Montessori since, and maybe at the time in England, I should have gone back and looked at that place even more, but, this is what you do every day, this is what you're gonna, you're taking that Montessori, and bringing it to all these children. So can you kinda just tell me, like,
Mhm.
first of all, explain to me more the Montessori, and then I just wanna hear, like, within that whole concept, like, what do you think you are solving? Like, what impact do you think you are making, whether based on that model or just doing what you do every day?
Got it.
Sorry, there's a
Um,
lot in there. I'm just like,
no, I love it. I'm tracking. So
okay,
with Montessori, I'll tell you that the traditional model, which is what we were when I first came on board, is what I had my children in.
yeah,
Is the Charlie Brown method is what we call it, where want.
right,
Everybody gets the same information at the same time. We move together through lessons at the same time. Dr. Montessori was the innovator, and she realized that each child is the lesson plan. And
right,
so that's the biggest difference. Where sometimes Montessori gets a headache or it's a conflict is where children are given the freedom of choice to go around the room and choose their own work.
right.
But what typically we like to reframe it as is freedom within limits. So
Okay.
I'll use a toddler, for example.
Hmm.
A toddler can be given the choice. Do you want to, and this is very watered down. I'm not a trained Montessorian, but let's say if it's lunchtime, little Erica, you have a choice of do you want broccoli or do you want to eat your pears first? So I'm not giving Erica the option to let's go right into dessert. I'm
No,
going to give her freedom within limits that are safe and child centered and age appropriate for that person. Maybe even in our infant room, when we change the diapers and we get ready to say, I need to change her clothes, I'll go, baby Erica, do you want to wear your white onesie or your blue onesie? And even if the baby just makes a motion with their hand towards the blue, I affirm it, I acknowledge it, I speak to the child. So it's the executive functioning skills that you're allowing a child to make a decision for themselves,
right.
which in turn creates a better opportunity for social emotional regulation. And
Okay.
we've seen adults without social emotional regulation, and it's important to get those skills honed in as a child.
Right. That's thank you for explaining it that way.
Yes.
Because I suppose, and if we're going to just look back on, I'm sure there's so many different levels of teaching and parenting, but the obvious one, which I can speak to, is yeah, it's not like you don't have a choice. It's like put on your blue pants, baby Erica.
Mhm.
Um, and if baby Erica doesn't want to do it, baby Erica, mom's not happy with baby Erica or the school teacher, and then I suppose that can just be just not a great scenario. Whereas when you give someone a choice, they're not gonna choose not to do anything. They're gonna choose one or the other. Is that kind of how it is?
Yes, it is.
Yeah.
And then there's an element too of Montessori that the teacher has to redesign herself to be or himself to adapt to the children. And so you unlearn a lot of things to relearn it, and you also reflect on if this child's behavior gives me this emotion, then perhaps this is what the child is seeking. So more specifically, I may have a little kid that I feel I'm in a power struggle with. And this, let's think of teenagers or middle schoolers, you're constantly in a power struggle. So you have to reverse engineer your reactions to be able to acknowledge this child of where they are to help find a solution that is least restrictive for them. So if I was disrupting the classroom, instead of giving attention to the disruption, I would continue to work with my other students, and I would do nonverbals to acknowledge that other disruptive student to let them know that in your due time, I will be finished with this student and then I can acknowledge you. So it's just a lot of also changing who you are as a strategy as
Mhm,
an adult of how
mhm.
you interact with the children.
And it sounds very respectful.
It
Like,
is.
yeah.
It is. Even how we transition students to classrooms, instead of the old model, I would take a student and if they aged up to the next one, it's like, here are your 25 new friends. Go be happy.
Mhm.
And you see behavior and frustrations because the kid is scared. Now we do it over a period of 2 weeks, introducing them to their new classroom. We take a
Wow.
tour of the class, then you
Mhm.
go back to your main classroom. The next day we come and we may eat a meal with the new class. Then we leave. Then the next day I may spend more extended time and do an activity and a meal. And we do it over a curated
Mm.
period based on the child's response. And then when they are ready, we then pack them up their items to move them to the new room. But
Right.
now it's a buy-in from the child because they know and understand what's happening.
Right. Yeah. Wow.
Respect, yes.
That sounds amazing. Sounds amazing. So, I'm going to ask you this question, which I kind of said, but I'm asking it again because I feel like you've answered it in so many ways already. But let me just see if there's anything else you want to add. What problem do you solve, and what impact have you made? I don't
Mhm.
think this could be more purposeful for someone like you, but you kind of said it. But I want you to kind of,
Yeah.
what's your answer to that?
The problem that we solve at Seven Oaks Academy is that we provide parents with a place that they know their child will be kindergarten ready. And the problem that we're solving is that we are making sure that we are not creating robots, but creating the next generation of leaders who can think, who can solve, who are innovative, who are respectful of themselves and the environment around us. We're creating a consciousness of a future that we'll never see.
Wow, man.
And I dropped the mic.
I knew it would be strong, and it was extremely strong. It was amazing. Oh my gosh. So how purposeful. I love that. Okay,
Yes.
thank you. That's like kind of really, really good. Um, so Eric, if I was to say to you, you bought the company in 2019.
Mhm.
Let's say if let's take you back to 2019 and you had an opportunity that is ahead of you. Would you go and do the same opportunity? Would you do this all again?
Oh, that's such a great question. There's so many answers I could give you. I can give you the podcast answer.
No, you give me no, because honestly,
Yeah.
share what you wanna share, but I've had people say we had one gentleman, you can listen to his podcast, um, his name is Andre, I can't think what his last name is right now, but he said, "No, I wouldn't do it again," because he went to prison for 18 years, something
Wow.
or 14 years, like, it was significant, so, he wouldn't repeat he'd repeat some of it, but a lot of it and not that he did anything illegal with his business later on, but he spent a lot of his life doing bad things,
Yeah.
and he recognized it, so his answer was like, "No, no, I wouldn't, but yes, I would in different parts." So,
Mhm.
and I'm sharing that so you can feel like, "Okay, I can be a little bit honest."
Yes. I will tell you that I would because I could not change who I am and what my journey
Mhm.
that allows me to empathize in this moment, all of that builds upon it. Like, I didn't tell you that I was a teen mom. I didn't tell you that my mother committed suicide. I didn't tell you that well, I told you I was in a foster home. There are so many variables that says I'm not supposed to be here that I couldn't
Yeah.
change that because I wouldn't be the type of leader that I am as I show up. However,
Mhm.
what I would do different, which is what I'm doing now, is I have a team to help me with the next acquisition
Yeah,
engaging an attorney from the first conversation, making sure my
yeah,
CPA is looking at those numbers in the books to make sure that what this person submitted to me is actually what the facts are. I would make sure that I interview the staff prior to hiring to make sure they align with my core values. I would do all the things that I learned in EO on the front end and that's what I would do differently. But the
yeah.
journey of what got me here and the mission and the vision that I have to continue to grow and serve 1,000,000 kids, that doesn't change.
No, another great answer. So good, so good. Um, so I went and fact checked, I was telling you about, I was reading some statistics, so if you don't mind, I do wanna just make sure I'm being
Yes.
accurate with everybody. So this Monday just gone, I had a colleague of mine who was part of the marketing team, and there was a reading event. It's called Georgia Reads Day,
Mhm.
and so it was in Atlanta, and so this is where the stats came from, which really did surprise me. I'm gonna read a few of them out. Um, so first of all, I asked it about illiteracy, low literacy in Georgia, and it says the term illiteracy is tricky because much of the focus now is on functional literacy or low literacy.
Mhm.
So not simply can't read at all. But here are the stats. It says in Georgia, 1 in 6 adults struggle with low literacy, meaning they have limited reading skills. 1 in 6, which I was like, and then of the adults with the lowest literacy levels in Georgia, 43% live in poverty.
Wow.
which is like, yeah. I mean, what's on here? So just all the numbers were much more devastating than I
Yes.
ever realized.
Absolutely. That that hurts. That hurts. And then it makes me think too is, it's the comprehension. You're reading things and are you able to decipher what's
Yeah.
AI generated versus what's real
So
fact-based
true.
source?
Yeah. Yeah.
It's fun. Wow.
Yeah. Yeah. So you're right. Not only are they struggling to read, and then what they are reading, do they have the ability to recognize what's real and what's not real, which is a whole
Yes.
other area, isn't it? It's like,
Yeah. Wow.
um, yeah, but I'm pleased. I mean, I'm pleased to see Georgia's doing something about it. I think that this is the second year that they've been running this campaign, and apparently it's really having an impact and helping to improve the literacy level, and not just across children, but adults too. So, anyway, Erica, what do you do when you're not solving the world's biggest problems?
I am when I'm not solving the world's biggest problem. I'm gonna use that on now. I'm gonna really reframe my mind when
Yes.
I show up every day now. I love
Yes.
concerts. I am either going to the concert, I am I'm learning to cook different dishes with my family. We have a chef on campus, so it inspires me to wanna cook things at home that is not
Mhm.
traditional. And then, honestly, I'm learning how to swim. I
Ooh,
Yeah, I'm challenging myself. I have some big goals to get back in shape physically, so learning to swim and doing it with confidence,
awesome.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's what I'm working on.
I love it. Oh my gosh, I love it. These are some massive things to work on, and
Yes.
yeah, and swimming's another one of those things where not every child is exposed to it.
Yeah, certainly,
Yeah.
definitely, but that's what I have on my bucket list, and I love yoga and Pilates.
Okay, I love it. So, where can people find you, Erica?
People can find me online digitally at, our Instagram is Seven Oaks Gwinnett. You can find us on Facebook at the same ending, Seven Oaks Gwinnett. You can find us here in Lawrenceville. We are in the heartbeat of Lawrenceville, in the county seat for Gwinnett County. And we're 6 minutes from the DTL, is what we call it, downtown Lawrenceville.
I've never been to Lawrenceville, so I need to check out Lawrenceville.
Come out here. I got a cute little coffee shop for us to hang out.
Oh my god, let's do it. I wanna do that. I wanna
And
go.
some cool music on the lawn.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, we're gonna do it. Let's make sure we remember that. Okay.
Yes.
Okay, so that's the best way to contact you, Erica, and this has been, honestly, a really enjoyable podcast and, inspiring in so many ways. Thank you for sharing your story with us.
Thank you for having me. It's been an honor. I love EO Atlanta.
Mhm.
As an accelerator graduate to being now on the board for EO Atlanta, my when you ask me what I enjoy doing, giving back in service is all I've ever known. And
Yeah,
so this is also another thing that I'm grateful to an organization that invested in me
yeah,
allows me to now serve and give back to its membership. So
yeah. No, I
great.
agree. Well, you're giving back in a big way, and thank you for that too, because we know being on the board is not a small decision. It takes time. But this has been very enjoyable. Thank you so much for our guests for joining us. We hope you learned a lot today. We hope you feel inspired. And if you're starting your morning off, if you're listening to this, you too can solve the world's problems like Erica is doing. So thank you, everybody. I appreciate you, Erica.